Let's go back to the hearing.
An attempt by the majority to sanitize the airwaves of content that does not conform to their preferred political philosophies. Disinformation and fake news are real problems. But the solution is not to limit free speech. In fact, it's just the opposite. Robust debate and free speech enables us to better fight the spread of disinformation. Sadly, at least it appears that my colleagues seem to be focused on squashing political dissent, as their letter claims that conservative news outlets have, and I quote, long been and conspiracy theory hotbeds that produce content that leads to real harm, end quote. I'd like to remind my colleagues of what happened in January 2019, when CNN, along with various other liberal media outlets, ran editorial content baselessly calling Covington Catholic High School student Nick Sandeman a racist. If we're talking about harmful content, CNN's coverage of that incident resulted directly in that boy, his parents, and his classmates receiving death threats and harassment. Of course, a subsequent investigation found many of the facts initially reported were inaccurate and misleading. As a result, Mr. Sandeman sued CNN and for defamation, and the network settled the case. Yet even though CNN recklessly defamed a teenager, Republicans did not call for broadcasters to remove CNN from their programming. Why? Because the system worked. Our nation's vigorous libel and slander laws incentivize networks to tell the truth, and when they don't, they pay the consequences. Professor Turley, do you agree that our defamation laws are a strong deterrent against lying on television, or would a return to the fairness doctrine be a better approach?
I do not favor a return to the fairness doctrine because I do not like government regulation of the media. I also think that there's strong First Amendment arguments can be made against the doctrine. I really do appreciate you raising the Sandeman case because it was really quite disturbing. That story was treated as true because people wanted it to be true. It fit the narrative. And it just happened to involve a teenage kid who was ground up by this story and treated as a vicious and violent racist. Even after he was cleared of that false story, when he was accepted in college, a professor went online and said, don't worry, we're going to follow him around campus to watch if he goes out of line. That's what I'm talking about, of a nation addicted to rage and people pretending that they're tired of it when they need it. They need the rage. And people like Sandeman are hurt by it.
Yeah, and that's a chilling issue there. Professor Turley, in your testimony, you cite the first question in my colleague's letter as the most troublesome. And this question asks companies what moral or ethical principles they apply in deciding which channels to carry or when to take adverse action against the channel. I would note that if my colleagues truly cared about morality and coming together in unity after a horrendous attack on our Capitol, they surely would not be holding a hearing as deeply divisive as this. I'm reminded of President Biden's inaugural address, in which he invoked, and I quote, the better angels of our nature, with malice toward none, with charity for all. That being said, Professor Turley, can you please elaborate on the fundamental problem with imposing selective morality codes on news coverage and access for networks like Fox News and Newsmax? Doesn't this lead us directly down the path of government censorship?
Well, this is the problem of a statement masquerading as a question, to say, what morality rule will you apply in determining whether to continue to air certain channels? The numbers are not there to apply morality codes. We used to have those. Atheists, feminists, others were barred from publications under these types of morality rules. And it was very chilling. And when I talked about the chilling aspect of that letter, that's one of those issues that I flagged.